Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Well, hey, dear one, welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy to be here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I do these solo episodes once a week. And then I do episodes with my daughter, Emmy, sometimes with a guest. We just had an amazing guest on. So if you haven't listened to episode 201, please go do that. But today, episode 202, we are talking about 3 ways to improve your life instantly. I'm going to give you 3 tips. I'm so excited to share these with you. These are things that I've been doing for the last few years that have literally changed my life, and they're simple and you can implement them right away. This is especially for my midlife mamas who might be in a transition and feeling like you're just in the doldrums of life. You're in a transition and you're not sure what's next, and you're not sure what your body's doing, and you feel a little stuck emotionally. So anyways, we are going to dive in. I have had, you guys, an incredible, amazing week. It started, this whole month, this whole thing kind of started with my daughter Ellie's college graduation. So we went to Pittsburgh for that. That was incredible. And secretly behind the scenes, my daughter's now fiance was planning a secret engagement, which we just had this past weekend. And in between there, last Friday, we had our final hearing for Thomas's adoption. And I am telling you, this mama heart could seriously explode. And then, so we had the adoption on Friday. We drove to Memphis and had Emmy's engagement party on Saturday night. Sunday, we drove back from Memphis. We had Emmy, Haddon, and some of their friends here for Memorial Day. They stayed Monday, Tuesday. Then my son Taylor came Tuesday evening, and we celebrated his 34th birthday yesterday with his amazing, beautiful family and my beautiful angel grandbabies. Oh my gosh, you guys, nobody prepares you for what it feels like to have those angel grandbabies, to see your babies having babies. And I'm so proud of Taylor. He is my oldest. So I'm 54. I was 20 when I had him, y'all. I was just a baby myself. So I really feel like I've grown up with him in a lot of ways. I tell him all the time that I think he raised me as much as I raised him. But he is one amazing human. He just finished last summer his fellowship at Vanderbilt. He's a physical medicine and rehabilitation doctor. And then he moved his family back here to Knoxville, near about an hour from where I live. And he's practicing at University Orthopedics and doing a lot of spinal epidurals and injections, and is just loving being back home in Vol Country. And he and his beautiful wife, Mary Kate, and the 2 babies live in Farragut. So they were here for a couple days. They left yesterday. And I have not yet recovered from the heart explosion of the past, couple of months. I say that, but then I feel like, isn't life a series of heart explosions? It kind of is. But the other thing that I know is that I'm thinking of myself 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I could have experienced these very same events in life, and it wouldn't have been the same because number 1, I was feeling so bad physically. And number 2, I was feeling so bad emotionally as well. And I didn't really know how to help myself. And over the past 10 years, I've learned so many things, which is what I'm going to share with you today. 3 tips that I think will help you feel better instantly in all the ways. We're going to talk physical, mental, emotional, and kind of like spiritual, goal oriented. We're going to touch on all 3 of those today. I do want you to know before I dive in, though, that for the first time ever, I am hosting a free 3-day workshop just for women in midlife called Thrive in Midlife. You guys, it's going to be amazing and insane. It will take the 3 things that I'm going to share with you today, which are going to be quick tips. These are taken from the workshop, and I'm going to expound on those and give each one of those points an hour. Now, I do these workshops quarterly, and they're always paid workshops. I have often thought that people who make a little bit of an investment show up and they're more invested themselves. But this material was just like so, I just feel like it's so life changing that I want for people who might be skeptical to do a paid workshop. I want you to experience this because it really will change your life. And these workshops are sponsored by my coaching program called Life Mentoring School. So at the end of the workshop, I'll be telling you more about that. And I'm just so excited. I don't think I've ever been so fired up about teaching a workshop. The last one we did was on stress, and it was amazing too. This one, I feel like I've never done one that touched on sort of like all aspects of our lives and bodies, and especially the physical, because I am a medical doctor and people are often asking me about the physical stuff. So on day one of this workshop, you guys, I am going all sciencey. We're going to talk about your metabolism, how to reset it, how to balance your hormones, what we're getting wrong when it comes to this. And I'm really going to expound on the hormone that is most important for women in their 40s, and it's not estrogen and it's not progesterone. So day two, we're going to talk about mental and emotional resilience. You're going to love that. And then day three is going to be all about your future and deciding right now that your best days are ahead of you. So if you go to ediewadsworthcoaching.com/midlife, you can sign up for this while it's free, you guys. So go do that. It's going to be June 12th, 13th, and 14th at noon each day. There will be replays available. Also, when you go to the checkout page, notice that there's an upgrade option. Now, you will get limited replays for this workshop. The women who attend our workshops, you know what the first thing they say when the first day is over? I can't wait to watch that again. So you're going to want to watch each day more than once. You will have a week to watch the replays if you take the free ticket. If you decide to upgrade, you'll have this workshop as a lifetime. You'll have the replays lifetime. You also will get our incredible, oh, I already put it away, Life Mentoring School exclusive journal mailed to you for this $27 upgrade. So when you after you register, you'll go to the thank you page. You'll have the option to upgrade. I highly recommend that you do that. Okay, now let's dive in to how to feel better today instantly. The first thing that I want to touch on is that most women in midlife are feeling so sluggish. They are feeling low in energy. They're feeling like they don't understand their metabolism. They're feeling like, oh my gosh, what has happened to my body? And I want to touch on this briefly. This is, again, something we're going to cover in full on day one of the workshop. Well, in full, but I say that, but I mean in a lot more detail. But I just want to tell you this. One of the reasons that, well, I would say the main reason that we in midlife are experiencing issues with our hormones, with our metabolism, with our energy level is not because we're getting older. It's not that, you guys. It's not because you're 40 now. It's not because you're 50 now. I'm 54 and I seriously have more energy than I've ever had. My son Taylor, when he was here, we were talking about it. He goes, we were talking I said, I don't even wish to be 35 anymore, but I feel like I'm still 30 or 35. Like it's crazy how much better I feel today than I felt 10 years ago. And that's not because I got my estrogen or my progesterone balance, which I fully recommend that you do. I did work on those. But the hormone that we have so out of balance, most of us, is insulin. And insulin is the hormone that your body secretes when you eat carbs or eat sugar in any form to help you take that glucose from your bloodstream into your cells so that it can use it for energy. But because we eat so much processed food and because we eat so much sugar and so many carbs, a lot of us are insulin resistant because we have lived with our insulin being too high for too long. When you do that, it makes you insulin resistant. How do you know if you're insulin resistant? Your waist circumference is bigger than your hip circumference. You can be insulin resistant without that being true, but the reverse is almost never true. And I tend to be a person who has struggled with this because I tend to have a straight shape. And when I do gain weight, it's almost always in the midsection. And as we age, we do tend to gain it more in the midsection because of this insulin resistance. So one quick tip that you can do today is just go measure your waist and measure your hips. If your waist is as big or bigger than your hips, you have insulin resistance. Most likely. And 85 to 90% of Americans do have insulin resistance because we have poor diets and we're not moving enough. And we're just in general not taking care of ourselves. And that's what's wrong with our metabolism. That's what's wrong. When I say hormones are imbalanced, that's the main hormone that I'm talking about. We're going to dive deep into this, but if you don't get insulin under control and in more balance, you will have such a difficult time. It'll be almost impossible to just regulate your hormones to get your metabolism in order. And I promise you, this is not a function of age, it's a function of our lifestyle. The two most important ways that you can do today that you can make a big difference in this, the first one is you need to prioritize protein in your diet and avoid sugar. So prioritize protein and avoid sugar. Making that one change in your diet will reverse this almost instantly. It will start reversing it almost instantly. And your body will realize, like, oh, I don't need to keep this insulin so high because she's not eating so many carbs and so much sugar, and she's eating protein. So that will be a signal to your body that it needs to prep your muscles. When you're eating protein, your body thinks, oh, now we have a lot of amino acids, so now we need to build muscle. So the second thing that you can do instantly today is just move your body more. Get outside and walk. As soon as you walk, especially if you're walking after meals, it lowers your insulin level. So I'm always asking myself, what can I do in my life to lower my insulin level? How can I eat? How can I exercise? Just bonus tip, stress really increases your insulin resistance, so lowering that stress. So those two things, if you do those today, you will make an improvement in that today. This is something that's completely reversible. When I look back at pictures of myself from back then, and I had so much inflammation and so much insulin resistance, now it looks like I'm reverse aging because I've gotten rid of a lot of that insulin resistance and inflammation. This is something that is changeable. Do this, you guys, before you end up someday, if you don't take care of this, and that day for some people comes really soon, you end up with high blood pressure, you end up with diabetes, you end up with heart disease, you end up with dementia. Like, it can cause all kinds of things. And I just read a book a few years ago called Why We Get Sick. And in this book, he talks about that insulin resistance is the basis for almost all chronic illness. And we know that that is a lifestyle issue, so you can make a change in this. If you want to know more about this, come to the workshop, ediewadsworthcoaching.com/midlife. I will teach you in the first day. We're going to go all through this. Your science brain is going to be so happy. You're going to understand your metabolism so much better. The second thing that women in midlife really, really struggle with, and the second way that you can make your day instantly better is, this is related to your mental, emotional health, is to stop outsourcing your emotions to other people. Listen, especially as Southern women, but as women, we tend to worry about everyone else's emotions. Is this person happy with me? What does this person think of me? How can I make this person, happier? How can I make my kids happier? How can I, we just bend ourselves in all kind of contortions to manage other people's emotions. And it doesn't work. The only person's emotions you can manage are yours. And the ironic thing is, we've spent so many years trying to manage other people's emotions that we ignore ourselves, forget that we have so much emotional intelligence ourselves, and that we can create so much emotional independence ourselves, where we're not sort of waiting on everybody else to see if they're happy to then decide if we're going to be joyful or happy. This is something that we do so often as midlife women, is we just outsource our emotions to everybody else. This doesn't work, not ever. And ignoring yourself in the process doesn't work. So one of the reasons why we have no idea how we feel is because we've been spending so much time worrying about how everybody else feels. And I promise you, if you can just decide on purpose that you are the one in charge of your emotional life, of your experience of life, that happens by the way you think about life, by the way, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to, respond to, and process what happens to you. But you have so much agency here. You get to create your own experience of life. It doesn't depend on your kids. It doesn't depend on your spouse, and it never can. And I promise you that if you just decide today that you are going to create what you want to create for yourself emotionally, just decide, do I want to be resentful and bitter all day? I can. Or do I want to, and that often comes, by the way, from having a lot of expectations of other people that they don't meet. You think your spouse should be a certain way that they're not. You think your kids should be a certain way that they're not. No, just decide that you're going to be the way you decide you want to be. You're going to create your own experience of life. I can remember times when I would come home, and depending on if this person's in a bad mood or this person's in a bad mood, then that determines my mood. No, I just get to determine my mood. I get to decide how I want to show up to my own life. And if this is something that you know you've struggled with, we are going to go in depth in actually, what it means to really create emotional resilience, emotional intelligence, emotional adulthood for yourself so that you're not dependent on everybody else to decide if you should be happy, if you should be miserable, if you should be whatever. You just get to decide, no, I want to create this experience for myself in my own life, and I'm not going to be dependent on other people to do it for me. It gives you so much freedom. You can just show up to your relationships with love and joy and create what you want. Does it mean that everybody else is going to cooperate and act the way you think they should? No. It doesn't, but you get to decide what you make that mean. And you get to decide if you let that deter you from how you want to show up. So, this is a skill that I've been working on for years. I'm still working on it, but I want to share with you what I've learned. Third way that you can instantly make your day better is to decide right now how you want to think about your future. Decide right now what you want to think about this stage of life that you're in. So often we get to this stage of life and we have this very sort of fatalistic idea of it, like, oh my gosh, my life is over. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to get in shape again. I'm never going to lose the weight. I'm never going to, whatever it is. We often think like, oh, our best days are behind us. I remember thinking this. What a depressing thought. I can tell you 100% for sure that I am living my best life at 54 years old. I can't think of a time when I created more health for myself, when I created more thriving relationships for myself, when I created nourishing habits more for myself than I have in this season of life. We often, and listen, no shade to us for doing this. I understand why we end up where we end up. I understand how I ended up where I ended up 10 years ago, where I was miserable and overweight and so inflamed and thought everybody was doing it wrong, and had a lot of people pleasing and codependency in my relationships, and thought my best days were behind me and that I would never, whatever. I remember that, and I have a lot of sympathy for us, but I don't want you to stay there. I want you to decide right now that your best days are ahead. I want you to decide right now that whatever you want to create in the world, you can create. This is your prime. I firmly believe that I'm in the prime of my life. I've never had more hard-fought wisdom than I have now. I have more time freedom than I have. And a lot of times what we do with that time freedom that we get sometimes in midlife is we squander it away. And I've just decided, no, I want to make good investments in myself with how I spend my time. In the last 10 years, I have created the most amazing life for myself, and the people in my life get to benefit from that. And I want the same for you. So I want to teach you exactly how to think about your future, how to set goals that you can actually achieve. I'll teach you my system that I've been using for the last 10 years to do that, that has brought me so much joy and just so much success in life. I'm just enjoying my life more than I ever have. And it's time for you to do the same. So if you resonate with any of those, please sign up for this workshop while it's free. edwadsworthcoaching.com/midlife. It's called Thrive in Midlife. I cannot wait to share this with you. You are going to love the depth that we go into. You're going to love the community that's actually created in these workshops. Because they're 3-day workshops, we actually have a Facebook group associated with it where we get in there, we meet each other. We have a lot of fun giveaways. I do some live videos in the Facebook group. It's just a fun time together. So I can't wait to see you there. Don't wait. Go get signed up, and I will see you in June. This is going to be the summer event of the year. You guys, you don't want to miss it. It will set you up for going into the fall in such a good place with so many good habits in place and really ready to rock this season of your life. Okay, I will see you there. Love you so much. Bye for now.